All right, second time recording this. Let's get it right this time. Audio, mint. Okay, so in today's video, it's going to be about Palantir again, by the way, but I want to kind of go through the types of questions that I asked myself when starting to look for places to put my money, not financial advice. Don't follow anyone into trades, including me, including your mom, including your dad. So I feel like the questions that I found myself asking as an investor is where do we put our money? And since we're talking about AI, let's assume that you are also choosing to put your money into AI. So the second question that derives from that first question is, if you decide to invest in AI, how do you know what AI companies to invest in? There are 500 now, quote unquote, AI companies. And as investors, I think it is our job to find the best investment that fits our risk profile and or our risk tolerance slash philosophy. So based on that, you know, how did past 10 companies win during the time? So let's go see how past 10 companies ended up winning in order to determine what best AI companies that we should be investing in based off of these questions. So I think we can all agree, and I'm going to play some clips of the All In podcast of the Besties talking about platforms one, right? Mobile, everyone's got a mobile device. Google, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, all of these are platforms that you can build something on top of, right? They're not just this static program that is kind of useful, kind of like ChatGPT. It's a static program that's really useful, but can you really build something on top of it to generate, you know, outsized returns other than it writing your YouTube content or your English paper? Don't do that. Plagiarism is bad. Okay, so if we want to invest in AI, following this line of questioning, we ought to invest in AI platforms. And I'm going to play a clip for you here about the All In podcast talking exactly about how platforms are going to be the most profitable for AGI, AI, ChatGPT, and the whole shebang. So let's play it.
Concept. Is this akin in your mind, because Brad just said it could be bigger than mobile, internet, mobile, AI revolution? If you were to look at those three, do you think it's bigger than actually mobile? And then we'll get into return profiles of 6.5% on cash versus what a VC is going to be able to do in this kind of market.
Yeah, I mean, so I agree with Brad and Doug that this is the next big platform shift, whether it's as big as mobile or it's more like social or cloud. I mean, those have been the big platform shifts over the last decade or two. And I think this is definitely on par with those. I think Brad's right. We don't know where the value capture is going to be. Maybe it just all ends up accreting to the big companies who can make massive investments in this space. One difference between the internet ecosystem today.
And I would argue that Palantir is best positioned because they have been investing in this space for for like 20 years now, since 9/11.
And 20 years ago is you do have these giant companies who are not totally incompetent, right? I mean, they do have lots of talented engineers, and like 20 years ago, you'd have the big companies would just sit on their hands in the face of a platform shift, and they'd just be sitting ducks who get disrupted. That's not going to happen today. That being said, I do think that any new platform shifts creates opportunities for startups, and it may not be efficient the way that these opportunities get pursued, in the sense that, yeah, Doug's right that there's going to be a lot of spray and pray, but I think that it is kind of efficient for the ecosystem as a whole, right? Because like any smart engineer with a half decent idea ends up getting funded, and out of all of that, you get kind of a pre-Cambrian explosion where the ecosystem evolves a lot of different types of businesses. Most of them don't work. They get wiped out.
And here's the one thing that I would say about Palantir. Palantir is already in that pre-Cambrian explosion. It is the thing that people are going to be using the most because, like you said, VCs are looking for places to put their money. They're just machine gunning that money into every single AI play that is on the market, including C3 AI, which I don't even think really uses AI. They're using some LLM voodoo magic calling themselves C3 AI. I actually made a like a little meme video about C3 AI compared to Palantir. I'll leave that in the description. But my thought process is why I'm trying not to think like a venture capitalist that has a bunch of money. I need to be targeted in the particular places in AI that I am putting my money. I don't have the luxury of spraying and praying and hoping one of them goes off. I need a company that is going to be built to last, that is already in the space, and I believe that Palantir, Palantir is that. Where are we going? We gotta go back. We gotta go back a bit. Sorry, getting a little bit ahead of myself. So even the besties on the podcast agree it's going to be the platform that brings out the most value capture for these LLMs, large language models. And who has the best AI platform? How do we quantify the best AI platform? Because the best is, it's kind of like a relative term, right? It's like good, bad, evil. Well, in what context, right? So taking into account current events like the big 19, war in Ukraine, possibly war in China. So we can answer the second and third question of our initial thesis. How do you decide to invest into AI? How do you know what AI companies to invest in? And my thesis, my argument, is that it has to be a platform, right? It can't just be this chat GPT software. It needs to be something that you can actually build a foundation from, a foundation using those large language models to capture value for you and your business. It can't just be, a Google Docs, right? Yeah, Google Docs is great. Don't get me wrong. I use it all the time. But can I build on top of it? Can I add new features for myself and my company? Not exactly. I mean, you can a little bit, but bear with me. And then the second, this platform has to penetrate all markets, right? Not just, helping students write their essays better, and this goes to our third question. How'd the past 10 companies win during their time? Facebook, Google, Apple, they were all things that developers could build on top of. Facebook, they have a booming small business culture, I would say, on, Facebook Marketplace. So that's what we need. We don't just need this one little program. Here you go, it's done. You need something that you can build on top of to gain more value. And I argue that that's Palantir. So if you're investing like I was, you come across Palantir, you see their commercial revenue going up. I'm not really too worried about the financials for Palantir. They have a billion something in cash reserves. They're getting contracts what seems like every other day. But let's go look at the offerings that Palantir has, just to show you, Palantir seems to be the foundation that the modern enterprise will then be built on top of. And they're penetrating crazy markets, right? Anti-money laundering, applied customer intelligence, artificial intelligence and machine learning, automotive mobility, auto racing, let's go Ferrari, consumer goods, cryptocurrency. Now, I'm not going to say that Palantir is going to be running the US's CBDC that's going to be coming out in the next couple of years, but there's a high likelihood. And if I'm going to put my money somewhere, I'm going to put it in the thing that's going to be running the monetary system for the United States Central Bank digital currency. It's not confirmed that that's actually going to happen, but I have no doubt that Palantir is going to be the one doing that, if not getting the contract with the Federal Reserve in order to do that. Data protection, defense, ecosystem, edge AI. Edge AI, simple. It's essentially the AI that's in, a satellite, that all of the AI stuff is done in the satellite instead of having to beam it to the satellite, beam it back down to Earth, and then doing all the computational power down here. It's instead doing it up here, which we kind of need during a time of war. Energy, federal health, financial services, Foundry for builders. This is what I'm talking about. They're giving you this Foundry, no pun intended, and then they're giving you the option to build on top of that Foundry with your own, software development team at your firm, which is what you want. That's what we want. We want that ability to build, that ability to scale up. Otherwise, what's the point? You're just buying a PowerPoint software that you can't build on top of or change in any way. Foundry pipeline for builders, government financial management, this whole CBDC thing again, that's for a different video, but I have a strong conviction that that's gonna happen. Health and life sciences, hospital operations, they run like 13 or more percent at this point of the hospital beds in the United States. Intelligence, metaconstellation, Palantir, hyper auto readiness, retail, supply chain, telecom, and utilities. And you're telling me that they do all of this and that me as the business owner can build on top of all of these offerings that they have for the specific niche that I need for my business to deliver value? Seems like a no-brainer to me. That's like my 26, 27, 28 offerings. I'm not going to count them. It might be 20, it might be a little bit less. But this, when I found out how many offerings that they have and the things that they're doing for their businesses through their AIPCon, it was just a no-brainer for me. Whoa, what is this? Sorry, clicking on the wrong one there. So you come across Palantir, you see that they have this market penetration, right? They're in everything, essentially. Any of the core services that I would argue a country needs to run: energy, finance, defense, transportation, and how all of those interact with each other. They got it. They hit the platform. They are the platform. You know what I mean? That you're going to go ahead and build on top of and do great things. So I'm going to play another clip from the Besties at the All In podcast that are already, they're not using Palantir, but they are describing exactly what Palantir does for business. And maybe someone send them this video, someone send them an investing video, send them something about Palantir, because I guarantee you when the Besties see exactly what Palantir is actually doing, they're going to be like, that is exactly what I described in last week's podcast. Why am I not putting my money there? Why am I not doing more research into Palantir and what they're doing compared to their competitors? And honestly, I don't really see Palantir having any competitors. But let's play the clip and you'll see.
They go extinct, but there'll be some good things that get funded. So we're more like, I think, Doug, and how we see it.
Oh, sorry. I actually have to click the link to play the video.
Do you guys remember when the optical networking craze hit?
Oh my God.
You had these multi-billion-dollar acquisitions,
Totally.
and where did they go? They went nowhere. They just disappeared.
We actually
Right
have like
here.
a market map that we did that I think can explain this concept of a end-to-end tool chain. So this is
So I'd say, just an end-to-end tool chain is essentially your business has data, right? You have data over here, you have an output over here, and in between there is a bunch of different things that you have to do in order to get this data to here to produce some sort of beneficial outcome, right? And this is, this is kind of a lot. Pause it and look at it, but I believe this is for Mosaic. But Palantir is doing this exact same thing, but I'll let them continue.
This is a slide that our growth team, shout out to Mike Robinson and Kevin Gabura, they put this together in preparation and part of the investment memo for Mosaic. And I think to explain the point you were kind of making, Freeberg, like why do enterprises need these services? One really simple way of thinking about it right now is that every enterprise would like to roll out its own Chat GPT. They would all like to have their own internal version of Chat GPT where the employees, for example, could ask questions and get answers. That's where all the action is right now. Every enterprise would buy that tomorrow if it existed in the way that
Give an
they want
example
with
of
the
what that
right.
is.
I argue that it does exist. It's Palantir, and maybe they're just unaware that Palantir is actually doing this and actually offering these services, because everything that they talk about is exactly what Palantir does. I've been tweeting at these guys. I'm like, check out Palantir. Like, everything that they've been talking about, I would say for the past, when ChatGPT come out, like, year and a half, is all of the things that Palantir seems to be doing. Right? Maybe they're not doing that, but after looking into the company, after understanding, the tools and the companies that are actually using them, it seems that this is what Palantir is. It's essentially the foundry for the modern enterprise. I don't know if I read that on one of their, one of their memos or something, but that's what it seems like it is.
As Sachs. Yeah, give an example.
The idea would be that, any employee in the company could ask questions to the AI model the way you can ask ChatGPT questions, and it would have all the enterprise's data, and it would also understand their permissions and have all the security settings so that only the right people could get the right information. That's the kind of intelligence they want to unlock. I mean, there are lots of other use cases as well, but that's a really simple one.
A corporate oracle. So I can, if I'm in HR, I can ask, hey, tell me about our, compensation. Yeah.
Totally. Copilot for the CEO. I think there's going to be lots of these. I think the sales team's going to have their own Copilot. I think the marketing team's going to have their own Copilot. And
customer support has it already. Yeah.
Customer support will have it. Engineers will have their own Copilot. So there's going to be a lot of these. But
yeah, so he says that there's going to be a lot of these, but I think he's more talking about the specific co-pilots that CEO, CFO, each person in the chain of command is going to have. And Palantir does that. One of their big things is data protection. Like we talked about, protecting the individual data of the corporation and only allowing certain people at certain levels to have access to the appropriate data, which is actually born out of their need. I shouldn't say their need. It was actually built out of the intrinsic nature of working for the U.S. military and the government, because everyone knows you can't let your opponents know exactly what you're doing. And Palantir is the thing that was helping protect the U.S.'s data when it comes to the war in Iraq, finding terrorists, etc.
I think enterprises want one at the level of call it the company intranet, where employees could just ask it questions. But they do not want to share their data with OpenAI. That's very clear. They want to roll out their own models.
Exactly. And protecting their own data is key. And then also having their own data. And this is what, a lot of the Bear Cave talk about. Oh, Palantir is just a consulting company, yada, yada, yada. Well, yes, they come in and they consult on how you can best use your data to build on top of their platform so that you have the best opportunity to utilize your data in the most effective possible way, right? Like, you're not going to go in and just plug and play all of your data and be able to ask it a question. Businesses have unique use cases that, either Palantir engineers are going to go in and fix, or Palantir engineers are going to go in, train, like a Salesforce or something like that on how to build the tools that they need. And during APICon, that's exactly what they were showing. Yes, granted, Palantir wasn't technically, they were. Palantir was the one showing off all of the things that their users were actually building, and their customers were showing other customers how to build things for their enterprise, right? And that's what you want. You want the YouTube video telling you how to make a YouTube channel, right? How to do this specific thing, right? And that's what Palantir is helping them do, right? So to bring it back, if you are trying to invest, or if you're looking to invest in an AI platform, I argue that you should be investing in the platforms and not the specific LLMs. LLMs training costs are going down precipitously. I encourage you to go look at how much it costs to train a large language model, and over time, as GPUs, CPUs get better, that is going to go down, and I believe so will your investment. Not financial advice, but this is why you invest in the platform and not the individual language model. So I believe Palantir is that platform. You know, who will be the next big platform? I believe it's going to be Palantir, because they give you the platform, right? Here's the base that we're going to give you, right? Then we're also going to give you the tools for building on top of that platform, including AI integration, including data integrity or data integration, and your data protection. And this is exactly what the modern businesses need. This is exactly what the besties at the All In podcast talk about. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about how the platform of Foundry, Apollo, Gotham, all of their offerings is the actual value proposition to Palantir. If Palantir was just, this one-off software that helps you integrate, your data for, one specific use case, but the fact that they are handing people this platform, being like, hey, put your data onto this platform, right? And then we're going to help you build tools uniquely for your business based on your data. 2, we're going to use the AI and large language models to integrate all of your data into the AI models to help you produce value for you and your customers. Oh, and by the way, we're going to make sure that your entire data set is fluid functional for everyone in your chain of command, down from the janitor to the assistant, the mailroom, the CEO, the CFO, I don't know, think of anyone else, and they're going to be giving you that seamless flow of data integration and permissions for your business. And I think if we go back to the original starting questions, how do you know where to invest? My argument is invest in the platforms, not the individual language models. Look at the past, look at all the other platforms, see how well they have done, and then go look at Palantir, go through their financials, go do all of your individual due diligence, what you find important, find the risk factors for yourself, but then come back to this video and tell me that Palantir isn't going to be that next platform shift, at least for the modern enterprise. It's a different conversation when it comes to the individual. I'm hoping one day maybe I'm able to, log into my Palantir, see all my financials, be able to project out. But as of now, I don't think I got the money to pay for a forward engineer to come out and help me with that. So if you guys enjoyed this video, which I hope you did, make sure to click that like and subscribe button. I'm the real John Sarge. Keep it real. Peace.